In this lecture, we're going to begin our examination of the anatomy of the eye, which is the sensor involved in capturing electromagnetic energy from the sun and from the environment around us that will give rise to seeing or our perception of vision. And the acronym here, CAPLVER, uh, to memorize here, is a handy way to remember some of the major anatomical features involved in the capture of light through the light pathway. And the C stands for cornea. The A stands for aqueous humor. And the aqueous humor, as we'll see another type of humor, is a fluid, a gel like fluid that functions to transmit light from one part of the eye to another part of the eye. So the cornea is the first anatomical structure of the eye that light hits. It will then transmit through the aqueous humor and then through the pupil. Now, I put iris here because the iris is a part of the eye that will control the pupil. That's why in the acronym it's a lowercase I, not the uppercase, which indicates the structure that light moves through. The second type of humor will be coming up here shortly. And from the pupil, light moves through the lens. And just like a camera, the lens is the part of the camera involved in focusing the image. Now, from the lens, it moves through the next fluid filled area of the eye called the vitreous humor. And the vitreous humor makes up the major volume of the eye. And then finally, light will reach the retina, which are composed of a wide range of cells, but the important cells here are what are called photoreceptor cells, and we'll touch on that here on the right-hand side. So, to just some basic facts here on these different components is that the cornea functions as a window into the eyeball. And as mentioned just a few seconds ago, it's the entry point for light. The cornea is transparent, and of course, that's important because we don't want light to be absorbed to a great extent here, but we want to allow light to transmit through the cornea. There are no blood vessels, and there are some sensory nerves making the cornea aware of any irritants or other items in the air that might contact this portion of the eye, and that could be perceived, and a person would rub their eye if they felt an irritant, and that's where the molecule is irritating this outer portion. The aqueous humor is specifically here the anterior chamber of the eye. It's just below the cornea, and it's fluid filled, and there are no blood vessels. Yet the fluid here comes from blood vessels, and that fluid will fill this particular very thin region, and it provides nutrients and oxygen to the cells of the cornea and other regions in this particular region of the eye. The pupil is the dark, um, round middle portion of the eye, and that's the entry point for light. So light will enter this very small part of the eye here, and that light will eventually get transmitted through to the back of the eye. The iris, which surrounds the pupil, is the colored part of the eye. So somebody has blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes. That's the iris that gives rise to those particular colors. The iris is muscular, and being a muscular component that surrounds the pupil, it has the ability to regulate the light entry through the pupil. So the pupil is the small dark part where light actually enters, but if the iris contracts or relaxes, it will expand or decrease that entry, allowing light to move in or regulating the amount of light that moves in by controlling pupil size. As we move through, the lens is a region inside the eye that changes shape as well. And just as the term suggests here, it will focus light. And so it has the ability to change and bring objects into a clearer vision by expanding or contracting. And the lens is suspended by a ligament that we'll see here on the next slide with the picture of the eye. From through the lens, we have light that continues to move through, and it moves through the vitreous humor, which is a gel-like fluid that makes up about 80% of the eye volume. And light will pass through the vitreous humor and will eventually uh, land at the retina. And so the retina is a collection of layers of cells at the back of the eye, and this contains cells that are sensitive to light. So this is the part of the eye collectively referred to as a membrane, but is the light sensitive part of the eye. And the unique cells here are called photoreceptors. So these are basically neurons uh, that are particularly designed by nature to capture this electromagnetic energy transmitted through these different components. And once these neurons are able to capture that electromagnetic energy, then it is involved in the transduction of that electromagnetic energy into bioelectrical energy and chemical energy. So to bring the items on slide number 9 into a visual here, here we start to see these, we start with these different components, and just like the acronym on the previous slide, CAPOVER, the C stands for cornea. And the A is the aqueous humor. So the aqueous humor lies just underneath the cornea, which is this outer layer. And then the pupil and the iris is this middle part. It's not colored here, but remember the pupil is that middle portion, that dark hole that light will eventually move through into the lens. This much larger region, this much larger portion of the eye that acts as a focusing mechanism for light. The vitreous humor, just collectively referring to this gel-like region inside the eyeball, is translucent, and it allows light to continue where it will land at the retina. So coming back to the anterior portion of the eye, we have two other items here. The ciliary muscle, as you can see pictured here, is connected to zonules, referred to as zonules of Zinn. And this is the component that will control the size and the shape of the lens. And in doing so, it will allow a change in the refraction of light that will bring images into focus. And as you can see here, this is the letter R. The R eventually on the back of the eye is flipped and rotated, so it produces an inverse image on the retina, which is that posterior membrane of the eye. And that's where this image crosses and will get eventually conveyed to the part of the brain involved in perception. So the retina is our photosensitive region that will transduce the electromagnetic energy into something that we will eventually be able to perceive. Other items here, the sclera is the white of the eye, and as you can see, it surrounds the entire eyeball, and it's continuous with the cornea on the anterior side of the eyeball. The fovea refers to this very small, it's kind of hard to see here, but this small indented region in the retina as a point of heightened focus for particular types of light, or rather light in particular environments. There's a region here at the back of the eye called the optic disc, and the brown layer here, which is the retina. What we see here is, oh, actually, the brown's not the retina. Just inside the brown is the retina. But this entire region here is discontinuous. We don't see any retina and we don't see any ciliary muscle around this region. And so that produces a blind spot on the posterior part of the eye. But it's necessary because the optic disc is an opening at the back of the eye that serves as a conduit for the optic nerve and blood vessels. So recall that the eye is made up of a number of different cells, and those cells have a metabolic need which require oxygen and nutrients, and those cells will also produce metabolic end products such as carbon dioxide, which have to be removed by the veins of the blood vessels. And the optic nerve is necessary to transduce that electromagnetic energy into bioelectrical and chemical energy that will travel to parts of the brain that give rise to perception. So this ends our third video here on